This is the first time we've been able to ask you officially about Tua since he's declared. To the best of your knowledge, where is he at physically, and what does he need to show you guys to be considered in the first round?
Yeah, like I said, we're still so early in this process. Like we haven't met him, haven't sat down with him, talked to him. Our doctors haven't seen him, so and we know as much as you do. Right now we see the media reports and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, we got to get to know the guys, get in front of them, just like any player. So, we're very, very early in the stage with the fact that we haven't even met the guy yet.
You got to see him in person at least once. We know you're at the LSU game.
Mm-hmm.
What were your thoughts on him from purely a football standpoint? Not taking into account the health, but the way he throws the football and runs an offense.
Yeah, I mean, it's the way people talk. He's been a winner. I think the fact that he, won the Elite 11, then goes to Alabama, has the, kind of a storybook coming off the bench, winning the national championship. And he's, so everyone always talks about his accuracy, et cetera. And they talk about the, the person as well, the intangibles that we talked about. So, yeah, looking forward to get to meet him, just like a lot of players. There's a lot of good players in this draft, and even some other quarterbacks he's competing with for. So I'm looking forward to the next couple months.
How important is the ability to get to evaluate these guys at the Senior Bowl, to see the Herberts, the Loves, and to get to meet them? And what are you looking for during this week from them?
Yeah, I think, for us, it's always that first step. This is the first meeting. You can actually sit down and talk to them and kind of begin to figure out who they are and what makes them tick. In terms of practice, it's the competition. I love the fact, Herbert and Love and those guys have come down here to compete, just like in the past when, Baker and Josh Allen, those guys all came down. So that's the thing. You get to see them in a competitive situation. And they're all on equal footing. They're all learning a new playbook, everything. So that's the thing you like about the Senior Bowl, and appreciate those guys coming down here to compete.
When you're doing a deep dive on a particular player, and maybe a top 10 type player or quarterback, like a really important player that you want to turn over every stone, I'm just curious, how many people that know that player might you and your colleagues touch before the draft?
I couldn't give you a number, but it goes back well into their past as well. Not just the coaches and their college coaches, high school coaches, and people that know the player through family members. I mean, you'll get people reaching out to you too, that especially the high-profile players. And so it's a very interesting case study, and it'll be. Someday, I'm sure someone will write a book on it and talk about, their background and how they found some player and the work they did. But no, we'll have many, many people that will have or have had contact with, those players over the years.
Where do things stand with Ryan Fitzpatrick?
Yeah, no, I mean, fully expect Ryan to be back and playing, and he did a great job. The things he did with the young players too in the locker room, his leadership, and just his enthusiasm. I mean, you guys saw him how he is and carries himself. So he did a great job for us.
I want to ask you about the coaching staff and the changes to the coaching staff. Obviously, you guys build a team that caters to the talent that Brian Flores and his coaching staff wants to coach.
Right.
How difficult would that be when you have a completely new staff? Well, not completely new, but new coordinators.
It's a lot of communication again, and that's always the important part. And I think Brian and the staffs and even previous have done a good job of when they all get here, we'll get together, get in the room, we'll talk about the traits and characteristics they want at each position, and we'll go through it just like we'll always do. So again, you always have to make sure you're on the same page of what everyone's looking for, and then that communication piece will be important. And then again, we have a couple months here too, which is good. So sit and we'll go here and we'll talk about the players here at the Senior Bowl and the other All-Star games, and then we'll work through. Once we get to the Combine, we'll do that again. So we'll spend a lot of time talking, and it's the communication. Like, does this player fit what you like? Is this profile the type of player? So you're right. The communication part is just going to be huge.
So you have a profile for every position for what Brian wants, and
yes.
How different is that based on, you've been here 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
I've been here, I've covered 6 coaches, by
Right.
the way. And how different is that when you have to piece it together based on what you know and what everybody wants?
Yeah, it can be a little challenging at times, but it's also, again, you just have to learn to be able to adjust on the fly. And so when changes come, and if you switch from whether it's a 3-4 to a 4-3, or you want a zone scheme to a gap scheme. The good thing is we have a lot of veteran scouts and that have been around and are good personnel evaluators. So it's just a matter of getting everyone on the same page as quick as possible. So with all the new coaches in, we're going to meeting together as soon as we can with all of us in the room early February, and we'll start preparing for the combine and going through the types of players that they're looking for.
How much do you and your staff have to kind of communicate with other staffs around the league to kind of identify and figure out what other teams want to do to try to get possibly ahead of you in the top 5? Is that something important that you guys kind of have to kind of be aware of?
Yeah, I think every team's always, monitoring what's going on around the league. I think it works both ways, because there's some point there's a lot of misinformation going out, and teams are always trying to probe what you're looking for. So there's a balance to it, but at the end of the day, I don't think anyone's tipping their cards right now until, probably right up until draft day of what's going on. But yeah, teams are always talking. Agents talk to people and stuff too, which information again, but you don't know who's telling the truth all the time.
Is it impossible to kind of forecast like how much it would take to trade up? How much
Yeah,
it would take to trade
because
down?
every trade has been different. We look over the years of the value of what people do. I mean, you can always say you have an idea and place your value on it, and then that other team may have a completely different view of how to, and we've had that with other trades we've done in the past.
Do you feel like you have enough ammunition to move up if you needed to?
Yeah, I think we have more than enough. Yep.
How would you evaluate the Josh Rosen trade and what he's done for you guys this past year? Is he part of your future plans?
Yeah, Josh is here, and I think the trade, I think for us, it was us, we were always trying to upgrade that position. And so he was a young player that had some talent, and I think for us, the value, knowing that we were going to have picks, and a lot of picks going forward in the future and money available, it made sense for us to try, and make that trade. So we're happy we made it. Josh has made huge strides, like Brian's talked about. It's been fun watching him grow towards the year, and I know no one got to see it, and everyone wanted to see him play, but he did a tremendous job growing. And people always forget, like I said before, he's had like 4 straight different offensive coordinators and schemes, and that's hard for a young kid to keep with no stability. That's hard, so we were proud of him.
Chris, Daniel Kilgore seems an interesting case. He's a guy who loves Flo. Flo seems to love him, team captain, but he's getting up there in age. I believe he's 31. He was out all year. What are your thoughts on him and how he fits in next season?
Daniel was a tremendous locker room presence, leadership, like you said. The veteran presence is what our team needed last year, and I think he did a tremendous job, along with Fitz, as kind of being steady in the ship early on when things were rocky. Like I said, we have tremendous respect for him. I love the guy. He's energy in the building, and for us, it's we expect him to be here, but we'll see. I mean, we love him, and he was great for our team.
Obviously, you have a very young team. You got a lot of draft picks. That's going to make the team even younger. How do you get leadership, or how do you add leadership? I know Fitz contributes to that, but do you feel like you need more?
I think that's a very important piece, and Brian and ourselves and the scouts and coaches have talked about that, and it's even with the young guys we bring in. We got to make sure that a lot of those guys are leaders and understand, have been not necessarily captains at their schools, because we all know that sometimes captains are appointed, but at the end of the day, finding some leadership through all avenues, whether it's guys in the streets, free agency, the draft, just bringing in the right types of guys to help, because you're right, it's going to be a young team, and the good thing is Brian, the coaching staff, are tremendous teachers, and I know when you're talking about a lot of the coaches and the guys we've had there, and that's the big thing, they're teachers and motivators, and you guys saw how the team played, and but it is very important to add guys that have good leadership traits.
How badly do you sense that team owner Stephen Ross wants to see an elite franchise quarterback added?
Oh, I think that's from all of us, would like to find the right guy to be the quarterback. You see how important it is around the league. So I wouldn't just say it's Steve, it's Brian, myself, everyone, coaching staff, scouts. We think it's important that we find the right guy to be the leader and the quarterback here for a long time.
What do you think about Tua's agent honoring Steve with a philanthropy award for the Super Bowl?
That's the first time I've heard it. We've been in, like, all last week, we're in meetings all day, and then we went right down here, so good for him. Steve deserves it, and I'm happy, but now it's the first time I've heard it.
With the trend seems to be the league is going towards more athletic quarterbacks, more guys who can move, more guys who can move the pocket. Is that just because that's what college is delivering, or is it just because that's where the game is going? Or do you disagree with that that's the trend?
No, I think it's probably a combination of both those, because it's nowadays everything's high school and youth is 7-on-7, you know, so it's get the ball out quick, it's RPOs and stuff, so, you know, the college game's producing a lot of it, but the big thing is those guys are having success doing it, you know. If guys were doing it and they weren't successful, you know, people wouldn't be copying it. And I just think, yeah, the game's evolving into that, and I think quarterbacks that can run just add another dimension that's hard for defenses to account for. So it's kind of an exciting trend to see that, you know, the game moving that way and giving more guys that in the past you probably, you know, not ignored, but probably, you know, like, oh, he'll be okay. And so, yeah, it's an exciting thing for football and football fans.
Are you a fan of a quarterback running 150, 200 times a year?
I would say I'm not sure how to answer that, because I don't want to, you know, because it's been effective for some, really effective for some players, but you always, like, it's such a violent game, you always worry about injuries, and especially if it's your franchise guy. But hey, I mean, there's some dynamic players that skill set is for that team, and those teams that use it, it's what springboard into winning as well. So you just gotta understand what it is.
Since Gase was fired, you were appointed as GM. The Dolphins, Tua has been linked to the Dolphins since that point. Do you think that's kind of unfair over the past 2 years that it's been the case like that? And do you even feel pressure to maybe, you know, evaluate him and draft him, you know, come April?
Well, we'll evaluate him just like every player in it. So, you know, like I said, when people were talking about all the stuff in the past, we said, right, we were never tanking. I mean, we were trying to win and build, and so, you know, to say one player was attached to us, you know, you can't control what fans and people in the media say. So, no, there's no pressure for us. I mean, the pressure for us is to find the right guy to be the quarterback for the Dolphins, and whether it's him or someone else, but that's the pressure of finding the right guy to lead the organization.
One more than Perk.
Some of the players that you drafted and been a part of the process of drafting in recent years have found success elsewhere, such as Minka, Laramie, Kenyon, and Ryan. I have not had a chance to ask you this. Mm-hmm. What is it like for you? How do you process that as positive, negative? I'm just not sure how you process it.
No, it's, you know, at the end of the day, we did what was best for the Miami Dolphins, and so we always wish those guys success when they go on, but they've been so focused on, you know, trying to get here to build a winner here for us that, you know, happy for them, but, you know, at the end of the day, I don't spend a lot of time worrying, because there's just a lot of work to be done here.